3 years ago, I thought I'd landed the contract that would make my agency. Graham Vance, owner of Vance Outdoor Supply, strutted into my Austin office like he owned the place. Designer boots, expensive watch, the kind of guy who talks about disrupting the outdoor space, while probably couldn't pitch a tent to save his life. Naomi, right? He didn't wait for an answer. I've heard good things. Real good things. I'm Naomi Carver, and I run Carver Digital Design. We're not huge, just me, my lead developer Layla, and 3 other specialists. But we're good. Really good. We build custom e-commerce systems for companies that have outgrown their Shopify stores but can't afford enterprise-level solutions. Graham spread his laptop across my conference table like he was planning a military operation. I need everything. Full integration. Custom site, inventory management, supplier automation, AI recommendations, the works. This isn't some mom-and-pop operation anymore. We did $12 million last year. The numbers he showed were impressive. Vance Outdoor Supply had grown from a single store in Boise to a multi-state operation with 3 warehouses. Camping gear, fishing equipment, hiking boots, if it got you outside, they sold it. I've been running on duct tape and prayers, Graham continued. Patched together systems that barely talk to each other. I need someone who can build something that scales. Something professional. He quoted a budget that made my eyes widen. $50,000 for Phase 1, the core system. If it worked, Phase 2 would add mobile apps and advanced analytics for another $100,000. Phase 3 would integrate their retail locations for another $150,000. $300,000 total. That was more than my agency made in most years. I've talked to the big firms, Graham said, leaning back. But they want to stick me in some cookie-cutter solution. I need something built specifically for my business. Something that gives me an edge. I spent the next hour walking him through our process. Custom database architecture. Modular design for easy scaling. Real-time inventory syncing across all channels. AI-driven product recommendations based on customer behavior and seasonal trends. The key, I explained, is building it modular. Each component talks to the others, but they can be updated independently. It's more complex upfront, but it means you're not locked into any single vendor long-term. Graham nodded like he understood, though I could tell he was more interested in the results than the process. How long? 3 months for Phase 1. Maybe 4 if we hit any integration issues with your existing suppliers. I need it in 3. Black Friday is coming, and I want this system handling my biggest sales period ever. We shook hands. I should have known then that any client who rushes a complex project is trouble. But $300,000 has a way of making you optimistic. The next 3 months were intense. Layla and I practically lived at the office. She's brilliant with back-end architecture, the kind of developer who sees system relationships like other people see family trees. While I handled client communication and project management, she built the most elegant inventory management system I'd ever seen. It's like clockwork, she told me during one of our 2 a.m. debugging sessions. Everything talks to everything else, but if one piece breaks, the others keep running. And look at this. She showed me the admin console. Real-time data flowing in from suppliers, warehouses, the website, even their physical stores. Sales numbers, inventory levels, customer behavior patterns, everything Graham needed to run his business, all in one dashboard. The beauty is in the modularity, Layla continued. See these API connections? They're like individual bridges. We control the master keys to all of them. The AI recommendation engine was my pet project. Instead of just suggesting customers also bought, it analyzed seasonal patterns, regional preferences, and individual browsing behavior to create smart product bundles. A customer looking at hiking boots in Colorado during spring would see different recommendations than someone browsing the same boots in Florida during summer. Graham called every few days for updates. At first, he was supportive. Take your time, make it perfect. But as the deadline approached, the calls became more frequent and more demanding. I'm seeing competitors launch new features every week, he'd say. I can't afford to fall behind. Graham, rushing software development is like rushing surgery, I'd reply. You want it done right, not fast. But we delivered on time. 3 months to the day, we deployed the full system. The results were immediate and dramatic. Their website went from looking like a 2010 relic to a sleek, modern platform that loaded faster and converted better. The inventory system eliminated the overselling that had plagued them during previous sales events. The AI recommendations increased average order value by 40% in the first week. Graham was ecstatic during our final demo call. "Naomi, this is incredible. You've completely transformed how we do business. This is going to triple our sales." He scheduled a call for the following Monday to discuss Phase 2. I sent the final invoice that Friday, $50,000, as agreed. I should have seen the red flags. The delayed responses. The suddenly critical tone. But I was already mentally spending that Phase 2 money. Monday morning, my phone rang at exactly 9 a.m. "Naomi, we need to talk." Graham's voice had changed. Gone was the enthusiasm from the previous week. Now he sounded like a disappointed parent. "Sure, Graham. Ready to discuss Phase 2. "Actually, no. We're not moving forward with Phase 2. Or paying for Phase 1, for that matter." I felt my stomach drop. "I'm sorry, what?" "The work is amateur, Naomi. I've had my team review everything, and frankly, I'm disappointed. The interface is clunky, the back end is unnecessarily complex, and the AI recommendations are pushing products customers don't want." This was news to me. His sales numbers told a completely different story. "Graham, your conversion rate is up 35% and your average order value increased 40%. Those are excellent results. Look, I appreciate what you tried to do, but I'm taking this in-house. My new CTO says he can rebuild the whole thing in 2 weeks for a fraction of the cost." My hands were shaking now. "Graham, we had a contract. $50,000 for the work we completed. Work that's currently running your entire e-commerce operation." "And that's another problem," Graham continued. "You're essentially holding my business hostage with your proprietary system. That's not how partnerships work, Naomi." "Holding you hostage? We built exactly what you asked for. The contract specified custom development, which means proprietary code. That's industry standard." "Well, it's not acceptable. I'm not paying $50,000 for amateur work that locks me into your system." I took a deep breath. "Graham, let's schedule a meeting this week. Bring your CTO, and we can walk through the system architecture together. I'm confident we can address any concerns." "No meeting necessary. I've made my decision. Send me administrative access to the system, and we'll take it from here." "I can't do that without payment, Graham. The contract is clear. Final payment triggers the transfer of admin rights." "Then I guess we have a problem. My lawyer says this whole situation looks like a setup to extract money from my business." "Your lawyer?" That's when I knew this wasn't about the quality of the work. This was planned. "Graham, are you seriously refusing to pay for 3 months of custom development work that's currently generating significant revenue for your company?" "I'm refusing to pay for amateur work that doesn't meet professional standards. Good luck collecting, Naomi." The line went dead. I sat in my office for 10 minutes, staring at the phone. Then I called Priya. Priya Desai has been my lawyer since I started the agency. She's also become a friend, which means she doesn't sugarcoat things. "How well did you vet this client?" was her first question. I looked at their financials, checked some references. Everything seemed legitimate. "Give me a few hours. I'll dig deeper." 3 hours later, she called back with news that made my blood boil. "Naomi, this guy is a serial non-payer. I found 6 lawsuits in the past 4 years. All the same pattern, hires contractors for major projects, praises the work during development, then refuses final payment claiming quality issues. How is he still in business?" "Because he settles most cases for 30 to 50% of the original invoice, usually after dragging them through months of legal proceedings. The contractors take the partial payment because fighting costs more than they'd recover." "What about the ones who didn't settle?" 2 went to trial. 1 won, but Graham appealed and dragged it out for 2 years. By the time they collected, the original company had gone out of business. The other one lost when Graham's expert witness testified that the work was substandard. I felt sick. So he's basically perfected a system for stealing services. It gets worse. I talked to one of the contractors who settled. Graham's new CTO is actually his nephew, fresh out of college. The kid has no idea how to manage enterprise systems. Graham uses him as a technical-sounding voice to critique work he doesn't understand himself. So what are my options? Priya's silence told me everything. We can sue, but it'll cost you $15,000 to $20,000 in legal fees, and the case will take 12 to 18 months minimum. Even if we win, collection is another battle. In the meantime, I'm out $50,000 and can't take on other major projects because I'm tied up in litigation. Exactly. This is why his strategy works. The math doesn't favor small contractors. I hung up feeling defeated. Then angry. Then calculating. That evening, I sat in my office after everyone had gone home. The admin console for Vance Outdoor Supply glowed on my monitor. Real-time data streaming in. Orders processing smoothly. Inventory levels updating automatically. All of it running on systems I had built. Systems I still controlled. Layla had been right about the modular architecture. Every component connected through APIs that required authentication keys. Keys that I held. Graham didn't just need my code, he needed my ongoing access to keep his business running. I opened our original contract and read it carefully. The language was clear, administrative access transferred upon final payment. Until that payment was made, Carver Digital Design retained all system access and intellectual property rights. Legally, I had every right to revoke access. But that would be obvious, a clear retaliation that Graham could use against me in court. I needed something subtler. Something that would look like natural system degradation rather than sabotage. I called Layla. He refused to pay. Layla was incredulous. But the system is performing perfectly. I've been monitoring the metrics, everything's running better than projected. Apparently we're amateurs who built a clunky, complex system that's holding his business hostage. That's rich, coming from a guy who was running his entire operation on spreadsheets and prayer. I explained Graham's history, his pattern of non-payment, and the legal reality we faced. So we're just supposed to eat $50,000? Layla asked. Maybe not. I pulled up the system architecture diagram on my monitor. Talk me through the modularity again. What happens if we remove some of the redundancies? Layla's eyes lit up. She understood immediately. Oh, that's elegant. Walk me through it. See, the beauty of our modular design is that we built multiple layers of redundancy. If one component fails, others compensate. But if you remove those safety nets, the system becomes more fragile. Exactly. Like removing support beams from a building. It still stands, but one small problem can cause cascading failures. She pulled up code on her monitor. For example, the inventory sync runs every 15 minutes, but we built in backup syncs every hour in case the primary fails. If we remove the backup sync, and the primary happens to hiccup during a busy period. Overselling. Customer orders for products that aren't actually in stock. Right. And the AI recommendation engine has multiple data sources. Customer behavior, seasonal trends, inventory levels, profit margins. If we adjust the weighting to prioritize slow-moving inventory, it starts pushing products customers don't want. The best part is, none of this would trace back to us. It would look like natural system degradation, or poor configuration by his new CTO. I stared at the screen. Every line of code represented hours of our work. Work that Graham was refusing to pay for while using to run his business. How long would it take to implement? The changes themselves? Maybe 2 hours. But I'd want to stage them over several weeks. Make it look gradual. And it would all be reversible. Of course. We're not destroying anything, just removing the safety nets that keep everything running smoothly. I thought about it for 3 days. This wasn't just about the money, though $50,000 would keep my agency afloat for months. It was about the principle. Graham had stolen our work, and the legal system was designed to let him get away with it. On Thursday evening, I made the call. Do it. Layla's plan was methodical. Week 1, she removed redundancies in the inventory sync system. Nothing dramatic, just eliminating backup processes that most system administrators wouldn't even know existed. The primary sync is still working perfectly, she explained. But if it hiccups during a busy period, there's no safety net. Week 2, she adjusted the AI recommendation engine. Instead of prioritizing products with high conversion rates and good margins, It started giving equal weight to slow-moving inventory. Customers looking at premium hiking boots will still see boots, she said. But mixed in with the popular models, they'll also see last season's designs and less popular brands that Graham needs to move. Week 3 was the most subtle change. She altered the database indexing that handled concurrent users during high-traffic periods. When they get busy, like during a flash sale or viral social media post, the system will slow down. Not crash, just get sluggish. Customers will start abandoning their carts. I monitored their metrics obsessively. For the first 2 weeks, everything looked normal. Their sales continued strong, conversion rates held steady. Graham probably thought he'd made a smart decision cutting us loose. Then, in week 3, the first cracks appeared. Their customer service tickets spiked. Customers complaining about slow website loading. Orders for products that weren't actually in stock. Recommendations that seemed off. Camping stoves showing up when customers were looking at fishing gear. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that screamed sabotage. Just the kind of issues that happen when complex systems start degrading. I resisted the urge to check in with Graham. Let him figure it out with his genius nephew CTO. Week 4 brought the first real crisis. A flash sale on hiking boots triggered exactly the scenario Layla had predicted. The primary inventory sync hiccuped during the traffic surge, and without backup systems, they oversold their most popular model by 200 units. Customers who'd paid for premium boots got shipping notifications, then cancellation emails 3 days later. The angry reviews started flooding in. That's when Graham called. Naomi, I need a favor. His voice was different now. Less arrogant, more desperate. Graham, I thought you had everything handled with your internal team. Look, we're having some technical issues. Nothing major, just some optimization problems. My CTO thinks there might be some bugs in the original code. I almost laughed. Bugs that magically appeared 3 weeks after deployment. Systems are complex, you know that. Maybe we pushed the launch too hard, didn't test everything thoroughly. This was perfect. He was giving me cover for the problems while asking for help. I'd love to help, Graham, but I'm completely booked. New clients, you know how it is. What would it take? I could pay you for a few hours of consulting. It's not about the money. I just don't have bandwidth for troubleshooting right now. A long pause. Naomi, I know we had our disagreement about the final invoice. Disagreement? Graham, you refused to pay $50,000 for completed work that you're still using to run your business. Maybe we can work something out. Partial payment, and you help us optimize the system. I'm sorry, but my lawyer advised me not to do any additional work until our original contract is resolved. I could practically hear him grinding his teeth. Fine. We'll figure it out ourselves. Best of luck, Graham. But I knew they wouldn't figure it out. Because the problems weren't bugs, they were features. Carefully planned degradation that would only get worse over time. What happened next exceeded even my expectations. Graham's nephew, trying to fix the bugs, started making changes to the codebase. But he didn't understand the system architecture, so every fix created 2 new problems. He tried to optimize the inventory sync by increasing the frequency, which overloaded their database during peak hours. The website started timing out completely during busy periods. He attempted to fix the AI recommendations by adjusting the algorithms, but he broke the seasonal trend analysis. Suddenly, customers looking at winter coats were seeing recommendations for swimwear and sunscreen. The real disaster came in week 6. Black Friday was approaching, and Graham wanted to run aggressive promotions. But the nephew's fixes had made the system unstable under heavy load. Their Black Friday sale lasted exactly 4 hours before the website crashed completely. When they brought it back online, the inventory system was so confused that customers could order negative quantities of some products. The reviews were brutal. Vance Outdoor Supply's website is a joke. Ordered hiking gear, got a confirmation for fishing rods. Site crashed during checkout, charged my card anyway. Their Trustpilot rating dropped from 4.2 to 1.8 in a single week. But the best part was watching Graham's panic play out in real time. I had Google Alerts set up for his company, and the local business news started picking up the story. Vance Outdoor Supply struggles with technical difficulties during peak season. Local retailer's website woes cost thousands in lost sales. Vance Outdoor Supply, a cautionary tale of rapid expansion. Then I got a call that made my entire year. Ms. Carver? This is Jennifer Walsh from Alpine Outfitters. I was wondering if we could talk. I knew the name. Alpine Outfitters was Vance's biggest regional competitor, a family-owned business that had been steadily losing market share to Graham's aggressive expansion. I've been following the news about Vance Outdoor Supply, Jennifer continued. Their website issues, the customer complaints. Word in the industry is that they're having serious technical problems. I'm sorry, but I can't comment on any client work. Oh, I'm not asking about that. I'm calling because I need exactly what they had, before it broke. A custom e-commerce system that can handle our growth without breaking the bank. This was too perfect. What kind of timeline are you looking at? Well, that's the thing. I've been talking to some of Vance's suppliers, and apparently Graham's been missing reorder deadlines. Something about his inventory system being unreliable. 3 of his major suppliers have called me this week asking if I'm interested in taking over their contracts. My heart rate picked up. Interesting. I need a system that can handle the additional volume, and I need it fast. I've seen what you built for Vance, before whatever happened to it. Can you do something similar for us? Absolutely. But Jennifer, I need to be upfront about something. My team built Vance's original system, but we don't control what happened to it after they took it in-house. Any problems they're having now are from modifications made by their internal team. I figured as much. Graham's not exactly known for his technical expertise. We scheduled a meeting for the following week. By the time I hung up, I was already planning how to repurpose our Vance architecture for Alpine's needs. Over the next month, I watched Graham's business unravel in real time. The website problems were just the beginning. His suppliers, frustrated with missed reorder deadlines and payment delays, started demanding cash up front. His cash flow, already stressed from the lost Black Friday sales, couldn't handle the additional pressure. Customer complaints led to chargebacks and increased payment processing fees. His merchant account provider raised his rates and required a larger security deposit. The negative reviews hurt his search engine rankings, which meant higher advertising costs to maintain visibility. But the final nail in the coffin came from an unexpected source: his own staff. The constant technical fires had demoralized his entire team. His customer service department was burned out from handling complaints about website issues. His warehouse staff was frustrated with the unreliable inventory system. His marketing team couldn't run effective campaigns because they never knew if the website would handle the traffic. 3 key employees quit within 2 weeks. One of them, his head of operations, went to work for Alpine Outfitters. Graham's a sinking ship, Jennifer told me during one of our planning meetings. Sarah brought me copies of all his supplier contracts and customer lists. Perfectly legal, she negotiated the deals in the first place. That's quite a coup for you. The best part is, Graham trained her on all his business processes. She knows exactly how he operates, what his margins are, where his weaknesses lie. I couldn't help but smile. Sounds like you're well positioned for expansion. About that, I'm going to need that new system operational in 6 weeks. We're taking over Vance's biggest supplier relationships, and I need to be ready for their spring inventory. 6 weeks was tight, but doable. Especially since I was essentially adapting the system I'd already built for Graham. The irony was delicious. His competitor would get a better, more stable version of the exact system he'd refused to pay for. Graham called me one last time in January. His voice was barely recognizable, defeated, desperate, grasping for any lifeline. Naomi, I need your help. I'll pay the original invoice, plus extra for emergency work. Whatever it takes. I'm sorry, Graham, but I'm completely booked. Alpine Outfitters is launching their new system next week, and I'm committed to supporting their go-live. A long silence. Alpine? Jennifer Walsh hired you. I can't discuss client details, but yes, we're working with Alpine now. She's using my suppliers. My customers. She's trying to destroy my business. Graham, I think you managed that yourself. The technical problems, the customer service issues, the supplier relationships, those weren't Alpine's doing. You could fix this. You built the original system. And you refused to pay for it. You called my work amateur and decided to take it in-house. I made a mistake, okay? I was wrong. Please. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Graham, even if I wanted to help, it would take months to rebuild what your team broke. And honestly, after how you treated my company, I'm not sure I'd want to work with you again. I'll pay double, triple. It's not about the money anymore. And it wasn't. Don't get me wrong, the money mattered. My agency was busier than ever, thanks to the Alpine contract and the referrals that came from our success story. But this was about something bigger. You had a choice, Graham. You could have paid for good work, built a partnership, grown your business with reliable systems. Instead, you chose to steal services and gamble on cheap alternatives. Please, Naomi. I'm filing for bankruptcy next week. I'm sorry to hear that. I really am. I wasn't lying. I didn't take any joy in seeing someone's business fail, even someone who had tried to cheat me. But I also wasn't going to lose sleep over it. Good luck, Graham. Vance Outdoor Supply filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in February. Graham liquidated everything: inventory, equipment, even the customer list. Alpine Outfitters bought most of the valuable assets at auction for pennies on the dollar. The local business press covered it as a cautionary tale about rapid expansion and technical debt. No one connected it to our contract dispute. Why would they? Graham had been so vocal about taking the system in-house that everyone assumed the problems stemmed from internal management. My agency thrived. Alpine's launch was flawless, and their growth over the following year was phenomenal. Jennifer became our biggest advocate, referring 3 other clients who each needed similar systems. But the best outcome was unexpected. Sarah, the operations manager who'd quit Graham's company, approached me about a partnership. I know retail operations inside and out, she said. You know systems. What if we teamed up to help other growing retailers avoid what happened to Graham? We started offering consulting services alongside our development work. Sarah would audit a client's business processes while my team assessed their technical needs. The combination was powerful. We could identify operational inefficiencies and technical solutions simultaneously. Within a year, we'd grown from 5 employees to 15. Our revenue tripled. We moved to a bigger office and started turning down projects because we were booked months in advance. I never told this story publicly. Not until now. But it taught me several important lessons about business, justice, and the power of holding all the cards. First, always research your clients thoroughly. Priya now runs background checks on every potential client over $20,000. We've turned down several projects after discovering patterns of non-payment or litigation. Second, never give up leverage until you're fully paid. That modular architecture that Graham criticized as unnecessarily complex was exactly what gave me options when he tried to steal our work. Third, sometimes the best revenge is simply letting someone face the consequences of their own choices. I didn't destroy Graham's business, I just removed the safety nets that were keeping it from destroying itself. But the most important lesson was about the difference between justice and revenge. Revenge would have been immediately shutting down his system, probably getting sued in the process, and definitely burning bridges in the industry. Justice was protecting my intellectual property, standing firm on my contracts, and letting Graham's own incompetence and dishonesty catch up with him. I sleep well at night knowing that I never broke any laws, never violated any contracts, and never acted unprofessionally. Graham got exactly what he paid for, which, in his case, was nothing. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Graham had simply paid the invoice. If he'd honored the contract and moved forward with Phase 2 as planned. His business probably would have continued growing. The system we'd built was solid, and the additional features in Phase 2 would have given him real competitive advantages. He might have gone public, expanded nationally, built the outdoor retail empire he was always talking about. Instead, he gambled that he could steal our work and get away with it. He bet that a small agency wouldn't have the resources to fight back effectively. He was wrong on both counts. But here's the thing that really gets me: Graham never saw it coming. Even at the end, when his business was collapsing around him, he blamed everyone but himself. His nephew for breaking the system. His suppliers for demanding better terms. His competitors for stealing his business. He never realized that the woman he tried to cheat was the one holding all the keys to his kingdom. And when she walked away, she took those keys with her. 3 years later, Alpine Outfitters is one of the largest outdoor retailers in the western United States. They're planning to expand nationwide next year, using systems built by Carver Digital Design. Graham Vance works for a sporting goods chain in Phoenix. He's a regional manager now, no longer the big shot entrepreneur with big dreams and flexible ethics. Sometimes, justice is just giving people exactly what they deserve, and letting them figure out what that means. The $50,000? Jennifer Walsh paid us twice that amount just for Phase 1 of Alpine System. And unlike Graham, she paid on time, every time, without complaints or drama. Some clients are worth fighting for. Others are worth walking away from. The trick is knowing the difference before you sign the contract.